let me talk a little bit about the work in general, okay? Because I've talked a lot about the principles. Let me help you guys understand a little bit about what we do, how it applies to all the things I've been sharing with you, okay? What we do in our office is a very unique form of chiropractic. It's called Network Spinal Analysis. And I'll give you a very brief history. NSA was created by a man named Dr. Donnie Epstein back in the mid-1980s. He was a chiropractor. And he was very fired up about this philosophy of chiropractic, which is similar to what I've been sharing with you, although often not practiced this way in chiropractic offices, sadly. D.D. Palmer, the creator of the chiropractic principle back in 1895, said chiropractic is to unite man the physical and man the spiritual. You don't see that in too many phone book ads these days, right? It says, oh, got back pain, got neck pain. That's not what chiropractic is, folks. Chiropractic was a vehicle to help us become more connected to this innate wisdom. Now, so Donnie's very fired up about this idea of chiropractic, and he's seeing people doing traditional chiropractic techniques, and he's getting great results in his office. But what he noticed was that two people would come in with the same condition, the same stress patterns in their spine as far as he could tell. He'd give them both the same adjustment. One would get well, one would not. And, he was getting amazing results. And for most people, they would have been very satisfied, but it wasn't good enough for him. There were all these different techniques out there, all these different chiropractic methods. And he began to get curious. How would each one of these methods approach this person? And how would each one think about this person's spine and nervous system? And how would they go about correcting it? So we got all these different doctors that were sort of the gurus of the different techniques, put them all in one room, laid someone down on a table and says, we're not leaving here until we all agree this person is clear. And now, if you know about the egos in some of these gurus, it must have been an interesting time to have been there. And what happened is all these people are arguing for the superiority of their methods. Donnie's taking notes. And at the end of, I think it went for about 6 or 8 weeks, everybody left these meetings saying, see, I told you I was right. And he's got a notebook this thick, full of observations that he's made along the way. And he began to put all this information together into what eventually became called Network Chiropractic, later Network Spinal Analysis, which essentially at first was a protocol system. How can I take all of chiropractic's greatest hits and put them all on one album? And even more important, how do I know which technique to choose at every moment? Because a person may come in and all these techniques might apply. How does your body most want to be approached right now so that your body is going to open and receive this information most efficiently and most effectively? You see? There's an old saying, right? If all you've got is a hammer, everything starts to look a lot like what? A nail. You got it? So now if I'm doing the technique that only adjusts the very top vertebra, which there are some people that do that, okay? I don't care. You can come into me with no head, okay? And I've still got to do that top vertebra because it's all I can see. That's the limits of my paradigm. But now, if I have all the tools in my toolbox, and I can choose which method is going to be most appropriate based on an analysis of your body in that moment, now I have the ability to be much more effective. And so that's how this work was initially born, was out of this idea that I want to be able to use whatever works in the moment according to your needs. So the idea is you don't have to fit yourself to my technique now. I will adapt myself to you and what your body's asking for in this moment. And over time, this began to evolve because what he noticed is when he would apply the appropriate adjustment and the appropriate sequence of adjustments, the people began having remarkable experiences on the table. People would sometimes have huge emotional releases, or people would have huge changes. They'd come back and they'd say, I don't know what you did, but this lifelong illness that I've been dealing with disappeared. I didn't even know you could do that. Or I called. After I left here, I went home and I just knew I haven't spoken to my father in 25 years because of some horrible incident that happened, and I just knew I had to call him. So people were having huge transformational experiences in their lives. And over the past 25 years, or 30-some years now, that he's been developing this work, we've continued to refine it. We've continued to see how can we be as precise, as exactly, on target with the application of this principle, so that the nervous system becomes more and more open and becomes more and more able to access these resources that we spoke about earlier. So the point of care is not for me to take something away, but for you to become more resourceful, more able to tap into your natural resources. And I have not found, in 20-some years in the profession, I have never seen anything as effective as this work in doing that. If there was, honestly, I would be doing it. I have no attachment to the method. I'm just attached to the outcomes in people's lives.